I'm Drea.
I'm Meg.
I'm Tina.
And I'm Jess.
And this is Pardon My Stash. Welcome back to Pardon My Stash, a podcast about knitting within the fiber arts and how awesome it is. Before we dive in today, let's talk about what we are working on. Jess.
I'm still working on the Dej Vest. I am still working on the Dej Vest by Yosei Paquin. I apologize if I'm butchering your name. In the Woolfolk collection. I am using Critical Hit Dye's Artificer in leather, and I am going to be on this hem for the next 12,000 years.
Okay, but like, if you look at it, like, it's really pretty. Like, the cable is gorgeous. And she has not knitted on it in about 4 months because she got to the hem and was like, nope, I'm not doing 2 inches of ribbing.
Okay, so I have to do 2 inches of ribbing. I am actually halfway through that. And I'm getting there. But it's 2 inches of ribbing, and that's all. And then, after I cast off, which I think it's a stretchy bind off, so... that's good.
Yeah, it's a stretchy.
Yeah, so that's going to take like another 12,000 years. And then I have to pick up the collar and do like another ribbing section, which I don't think it's as long as the hem, but it's still ribbing.
So 24,000 years
So
from now.
from 24,000 years
have
from now.
a Dej Vest.
Maybe.
In the year...
Well, I don't know. No. Because 24,000 years, she will be picking up the stitches for the collar.
Oh, yeah.
Because the first two parts were just the ribbing and the bind off.
Yeah.
You might have to leave instructions for the future
I
generations.
may, or I may just live forever until I get this done. I don't know. But so in the year like 6024...
No, that's not enough years. That's not enough years.
We're close. We're getting there. It is a good pattern. Like there's a few confusing parts in it, and it might just be the wording on the size that I was doing. And I did find out my issue with the chart was for some reason, like when I printed it did something weird with the settings, so it like printed a little off. But so that was not the pattern's fault. That was for whatever reason my printer being funky when it resized it. But yeah, otherwise the cables are beautiful. Yeah, there was just looking at it, I was like, wow, this was a lot more stockinette and ribbing than I thought it was when I chose this pattern. But I'm in it now. I'm gonna finish.
Too far in. Too far.
Too far.
Too deep.
Okay.
Too far to go in.
I am still working on the French Can by Mademoiselle C. And I am using Madeline Tosh yarn. For the main body, I use Tosh DK in Home Means Nevada. And for the border, which I am now plugging away on, I am using Tosh Vintage in Rye Bourbon. It is plugging away.
I like the colors together.
I
they're
do
really good.
too. And I'm still digging the cables, but it's a lot of little back and forths.
Mm.
And the little back and forths are killing me.
How far are you?
This far.
Wow. For our listeners' reference,
About
3 inches.
No, it's about 6. I'd say 6.
That's 6 inches?
Yeah.
I was about to say 3. What is wrong with my size reference?
No, Meg was right. It's... no, Meg was wrong. It is 8.
Oh, look at that.
I have done 8 inches.
Well,
All
don't
right.
count me to measure anything because I thought that was 3.
Jeez.
On the other hand, I'm glad that you were wrong because, oh my God, that would mean I would be so far beyond.
Tina,
I got nothing.
you got nothing.
Fair.
That's it.
That's fair.
Meg.
I am working on Ocean Stones by Greta Menson. I mentioned before that this was a project that I started in early 2023, and for a multitude of reasons, I gave up on it. But the yarn and the pattern combo would not... You enjoying that, huh?
Sorry, I'm squishy.
No, squish to your heart's
squishing
content.
the
I am
shawl.
enjoying it. Would not get out of my head. I did not buy this yarn with this pattern in mind, but the minute I saw it on Ravelry, I was like, that's exactly the yarn I want to use for it. I'm using Fiber Spates Vivacious DK in the colorway Heavenly. It's this really great like amalgamation of, it looks gray from far away, but if you look at it, it's got some lilac, some blue, some pink.
It's a good yarn.
It's gorgeous. It's honestly one of the best yarns I've ever worked with. It's super squishy.
You got your little mini minder there.
I am this has been the like absolute lifesaver of my summer, because I have been wanting to knit, but I also want to get my steps in, and walk. So what I've been doing, and especially when I had COVID a few weeks ago, I couldn't really leave the house. I just loop it over my wrist, and I just literally pace my house knitting, and it's fantastic. It holds my yarn. The only downside is that because I think you have to with the mini minder, I pull my yarn from the outside of the ball. Sometimes the yarn does fall, and I'll all of a sudden look down, and I've got like 4 feet of string dangling behind me, and Mira is like, well, that's awesome, look at that, and she starts to chase.
That is funny.
But it takes me all of 3 seconds to stop and wrap it around. I cannot recommend this thing more. I got it from jimmybeanswool.com. They have a whole bunch of different types, but this thing is amazing. I have not actually used it to walk around outside yet because it is just too hot. But I am absolutely, when the weather gets cold, I'm going to be that guy taking walks with my mini minder and my knitting. Absolutely. It's really fun. Be sure to check out our website, pardonmystash.com, for more information about our patterns and projects. And be sure to check out Jimmy Beans Wool at jimmybeanswool.com for the mini minder and also the yarn that Drea listed in her project, the Madeline Tosh DK. So tonight, we don't really have a topic.
Oh no.
We don't. You
What
knew
are
that.
we going to do?
Where did it go?
We're going to wing it. We're going to wing it tonight.
Just like we do everything else in life.
Wing it like everything in your life.
Hey, this whole podcast was a wing.
It really was. In the interest of complete transparency, we sat down tonight to talk about what we were going to discuss on the podcast. And after about 45 minutes
Literally.
of tossing ideas around and looking back on our history of recording and realizing that we really tend to do better when we are not forcing a topic that we're not feeling, we decided tonight that we were going to be a little bit real. We're still going to be talking about knitting, but we are going to be honest. We are about halfway, a little more than halfway through 2024. So we're going to be taking a look back at the last few months, talk about a little bit like how we got to this point, what's been good, what's been less than good, and where we're kind of looking to go for the rest of the year. We're coming up on our 100th episode in a couple of months, and we are ramping up to that. We're super excited about it. So kind of taking a minute or, several minutes tonight to kind of reflect on what we've been doing. We had to, at the beginning of the year, move our podcast from weekly episodes to 2 episodes a month. A couple of times this year, we have had to put the podcast on hold. So kind of talking a little bit tonight, being real with you and being transparent about where we are, where our projects are at, like not the projects we're working on, but kind of our body of work in general, and where we're going to be taking this for the rest of the year. The year has been kind of up and down, lots of up and downs for everybody.
Yeah, no, it's like these bursts of crazy productivity and then nothing. I don't know. That's mainly how I feel. I'm feeling like the yo-yo of like crazy productivity. When instead of the yo-yo going right back up, it hits the floor and it falls out of your hand, it rolls under the couch, and you have to kind of like get all that back before you start your.
And then you like pull it, you see it from under the couch, but then it rolls back some more, and you're like, crap.
And you're just like reaching and.
Honestly, the way I've been looking, feeling a lot of ways this year, it's like, and I think many of you know what I'm talking about when you say you are all excited to start a project, you're super pumped, you pull out your Swift and your ball winder or your winding by hand, and you're getting all pumped, and then all of a sudden you get a massive knot in the yarn, in the hank. And if you're like me, you're real dramatic about it. And then, you spend X amount of time untangling it. You finally get the ball back, and then you sit there and go, well, now I don't want to do it. and that's kind of been how this year has felt. Well, now I have lost all my momentum, all of my drive.
joy.
Like, and I'll come back to it. Like, it will happen, but it's going to take me some time to really get jazzed up about this again.
I have not been jazzed about knitting like all year.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a really rough like first half of the year. Like personally speaking, I had a lot of problems with pain management. Not my fault.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. But going through different pockets of really intense pain and then having to recover from that and then having it happen a second time, needing to have more capacity to get through my day than to put towards hobbies and projects. And I don't even want to say it like this, but it felt like knitting was almost like a punishment for me for a little while, because I felt like I needed to do stuff. And I did get my Arachne shawl done, and I'm very happy with completing that.
You should be.
It's the only thing that I finished this year.
I didn't finish mine.
I know. But you will.
I will.
At one point you will. But it's just it's been rough, and in the last like maybe 2 or 3 weeks I've had some kind of drive to do something, but it has not been it for me this year. And that makes me very sad, but I think it's making a comeback, but it's just been.
Unfortunately, knitting is not one of those things that you can kind of like fake it till you make it. It's really not. You can try to fake it, but you also shouldn't. Like, it's a hobby. Like, your heart, if your heart isn't in it, right? It's not like you don't have to do this, but it can feel like it, because it's frustrating being like, but this is my joy. Like, why am I not enjoying the thing that brings me so much pleasure?
And maybe if I keep doing it, then the joy will come.
Right.
And it didn't, but...
Right. but you feel like it should.
Yes.
You feel like it should. And then I think that should also makes it that much worse. Because now you're putting extra expectations upon yourself.
And you're disappointed because the thing that should be making you happy is not.
Is just not.
I know.
Yeah. It's frustrating.
It's been frustrating. And now that I'm finally like picking stuff up again and, wanting to do stuff, it's summer.
Yes. Not the ideal knitting time.
And I don't care so much that it's hot out. Like I've got things with temperature. Like, temperature doesn't bother me anymore, but I still get the sweaty hands.
Right. It's not the ideal time to be using wool.
No.
It's just not.
I feel like I'm going to have a major comeback for like fall though. I'm holding out for fall. I think it's going to be socks.
It has been so long. When was the last pair? Was it like 2021? Was it when we did the football socks? Is that the last pair of socks?
I think that's the last pair of socks.
Yeah, it's been way too long. It's 3 years. That's a long time for socks.
Guys, I feel like there's going to be a Sunday swing coming up.
Oh, no. We see a wicked crop of Sunday swing on their way.
Oh, it's going to be so good.
Here we go.
Start.
But that's the thing. If there were ever a comfort knitting project.
Oh, that's it.
That's
for
the
me.
one. That's the one right there.
I've actually been spending a lot more time just like doing alternative things that make me happy. Like I reserve Sundays for Frank, so it's just me and Frank on Sundays, and we do ice cream Sundays.
I think that is delightful.
It is so delightful. And each Sunday we will go for a hike in the morning, and then we will pick a different small local ice cream shop in Connecticut, and we will go there and we will get like delicious homemade ice cream, and it's been amazing.
I love that for you. In the best sense. Like, I know that can be taken different ways, but I love that for you.
It's a fun activity.
And I love ice cream.
I don't know, man. I have been so incredibly distracted by everything. My focus days are great, and I get a ton accomplished in them. And I don't know what I do half the time. Like, I'm sitting here trying to remember, like, what have I done?
You've done about 7 projects.
I have done a lot of projects
since you had surgery.
Like, that was the best time to do them. And I mean, I played a lot of Zelda, so I had that going for me for a while. But it was like I was doing that, and then I finished like defeating something that I've been trying to for a while. I'm like, yeah, now I'm going to knit. And then I was on knitting for a while. And then, I don't know, I went off and did something else for a bit because there's like a gap. There's a gap between one of my color work projects and then the next one I picked up.
You were felting.
Oh, yeah, I was felting. So I made a few more borbs. And then and I stopped that for a while. And then we dyed for a bit. Like yarn, not dyed.
Wow, I missed that.
just throwing that out there for anyone that's like, wait, what? I had Legos for a while. That was great. Legos was a good time. And the birds. We got more bird feeders up that a bear knocked down and squished, and we just got some new bird feeders. So I've been watching birds.
It's the most random tangent of things. It's funny.
Guys, we've got nuthatches and wrens now. It's amazing. And three different types of woodpeckers.
Wondering what it's like to live in this house. This is what it's like to live in this house.
I'm getting a little peek.
Literally tonight, like, there's a lot of 0 to 9,000. No in between.
You know what, Jess? For all of those things. Congratulations. So I was thinking to myself, did I make anything this year? And then I realized I did make things, but I gave them all away, like every single one. I didn't make anything for myself.
You kept a chicken.
Yeah,
you made the chicken.
No, my mom has the chicken now.
That is your chicken.
My mom has that chicken, and the rainbow chicken went to JoJo. So
Time to make another chicken, I guess.
Yeah, I have like 7 in progress chickens right now.
Gotta finish them up.
I have 2 that have faces, and they're little. What are they called? Cobs, or I don't remember. The thing on the top of their head.
Their head glove.
Yes, their head glove, and they're missing tails. And then I have a bunch that need faces and tails. We're going to go with head glove, Meg. Don't get mad at me.
I'm not a biology teacher. I don't actually know the name, and I'm sitting here like
something with a
scientific
C.
name, man.
I just can't remember it off
Look,
the top of my head
somebody's
right now.
going to tell us.
I'm sure. And you know what? Congratulations to the person who could correct us about head gloves. Okay, so
It's the gobble cobble, okay?
It is the gobble gobble.
I can't do this.
Scientific name right there.
last project I finished on Ravelry was the funfetti sweater for my
That was
daughter.
a good one.
That was a cute sweater.
It's the pattern is like an adult size sweater, and I resized it down to fit a child. She really loves that sweater. And then non-Ravelry has just been mostly chickens. Actually, if not all chickens, I think it's just been chickens.
I love the chickens, though.
Yeah, they're easy wins. They don't take very long to make. You can literally use any yarn you have in your stash. The only ones that you kind of have to make a certain color are like the tail to match the body. The eyes and the beak should probably be eyes and beak colored. And the head gloves got to be red.
The gobble cobbles.
Well, we've always said too, like it's not how many you finish.
Oh, yeah.
Like we're not.
It's just that you did it.
But it is frustrating when you've had like a drought. It's frustrating. You know, there's not a deadline. There's no like we don't have to do this.
Yeah.
It's not a job.
I'm not going to lie. I did almost this entire body in like a day.
Some days be like that.
Some
comes
days
and
it
goes.
do. And you know what? Now
The borders just
The
taking
border
forever.
is
To be
huge.
fair, borders kind of suck. Like
I just did
Even
the,
when
I
they're
just did the
fun.
math, and for the number of stitches that I have for the border, I'm going to have to do this repeat 26 times.
it'd be like that.
Congratulations. Let me just put some applause there for you.
Is that from my basic math skills?
Yes,
I am
I'm very
also
proud
impressed.
of you. Very proud of you. Yeah, so for me, beginning of the year, I was recovering from a stroke-like event. It wasn't a stroke. We found that out, at least. But I've been in like a lot of different diagnostic testing trying to figure out what the heck is going on with my left side. And if you saw me at Rhinebeck in October last year, then you may have noted that I was having a very hard time moving around because it had literally just happened the week before.
It was like the week before.
Yeah. And dear Frank was pushing me everywhere in my wheelchair.
He was such a superhero that day.
He was like, no, this is my job. Like, okay.
He took it very seriously.
But yeah, so it took a while for me to get back to like walking on my own without needing like a walker or assistance. I mean, I still use the cane from time to time. If I have good days, I have bad days. So a lot of that beginning of the year that's why I have like projects in my Ravelry, because like the beginning of the year, I was actually using it as a form of like occupational therapy to get my left hand to like respond. So knitting was actually like, when I told them I was a knitter, he was like, yeah, do that. That's going to be your physical therapy. I'm like, oh, okay. So I've been, was trying to do that for a while. The year was kind of tough for me in general so far. But yeah, I'm not in a knitting mood right now just because I lost my father at the beginning of the month. And I was very close to my father. And I don't know. I feel like I've just have like so many things going on, like trying to like help with all of that because my brother also passed like 10 years ago. So it's just really like me and my mom. And I'm trying to like make sure that, she's all set with everything. So I've been so like attention wise, I've been completely diverted to like paperwork. That's the best way I can express it.
Yeah.
It's just papers, doing papers about papers and legals and papers and more papers.
Well, the hobbies will be there for you when you're ready to return to them.
Yeah, it's just like honestly, like I have like zero like a negative energy. Like I'll like put my chickens out. And all I have to do is give this chicken a face. And it's a very simple way to like put the face on. And I'm just like,
no, it's too much.
It's just not there. It's just not there.
Too much. That was me for like the entire first half of the year.
Yeah. So I keep pulling them out and then I put them back in the bag when I realize today's not the day. Yeah. And
there were a lot of days where I'd pull out my knitting. I'd do like a quarter of a row and I'd be like, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
So I don't know where this whole thing came from, but I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I definitely did, that there is a kind of a mythos around knitting and grief, or crafting and grief. There are so many books, mostly fiction, written about knitting being like this great healer. And I found that was not the case.
No.
I did not knit for about 18 months after my dad passed.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a norm, but I also found that really frustrating because back to the idea of like, this is my joy. Why am I not doing what makes me happy? I think there is kind of like an expectation of like, when you are grieving, throw yourself into the things that you like and that will make it better. And I don't think that is necessarily the case.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, see, I am a grief knitter. You taught me to knit. While I was grieving, because I needed something to do. And I took to knitting like fish to water, and I hyper focused on it to the point that I was using it as a way to not actually deal with the grief. Like,
right.
It was a redirect, but it didn't, I don't want to say it helped me through the grief, but it
distracted you?
It delayed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's like, putting the expectation on things one way or another, but I was kind of surprised. I was very surprised, years before I had ever experienced a loss like that, being like, wow, why is every single knitting book about people knitting after something awful has happened to them? Like, is that a thing?
And I'm sure it is.
I'm sure it is, yeah.
I'm sure for some people it's like...
but it's not universal.
No.
Yeah,
it's not universal at all.
I thought I would, like, when everything kind of went down, I was bringing a knitting bag with me whenever I was basically spending, like, every day at my mom's. So I was, like, just bringing one with me just in case. For some reason, I felt like I needed to. I never pulled it out. It was just... I don't know.
But it was your emotional support project and it was there.
Yeah, it was there. But I never pulled it out. And then I think I even brought it with me to the funeral in the wake. Never pulled it out. And
I definitely had mine in the car.
yeah, I don't know, but like it just And then I carry my high vis beanie because it's easy. It's just two, just over and over and over again. So it's easy to just kind of mindlessly knit it, but I have no desire to like pick up needles right now, which is hard because like when you have like, I have this Instagram account that's all about fiber arts and about me making like funny jokes about fiber arts. And then like I am right now feeling like the direct opposite of all of that. Like I don't want to knit, and I definitely don't feel like making funny jokes about knitting right now. So it's just like, so I ended up posting a reel because like I felt bad because I was getting all these messages of people asking me how I was, and I just felt like I needed to be honest about like where I was at. Like it's, I'm not like saying I quit. I just need to like refocus for a bit and see what happens and, going from there. It's just hard because like, and it's like dealing with, obviously my father's passing, and then dealing with my own medical problems, which are still ongoing. And I'm still doing all this diagnostic testing and fighting with insurance and dealing with like all these different things with that. And then I found out that my dog has a malignant tumor near his kidney, and we're not doing anything for it because he's 11 and there's no reason to put him through that. So it's just like, I just felt like I had a bad cupcake, and then it started stacking. Yeah. And then I'm staring at a stacked bad cupcake tower. And I'm just like,
It's slowly sliding apart.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't feel like, I actually have to say, like, even my therapist told me, like, I'm handling it really well. Like, in general, like, I'm grieving when I need to grieve. I'm crying when I need to cry, doing all that. But, like, I'm not necessarily, like, catastrophizing, and I'm not, like, going into some deep hole, and I'm still like functional. I can still like get up every day and like take a shower and get dressed. And, do I take my moments in the shower? Absolutely. Do I take my moments when I go to sleep? Absolutely. But like, I'm not like dysfunctional right now.
And you don't have the time to handle all of that and do crafting on top of that.
Yeah. I think that's kind of, it's like, even when I'm like, okay, I have a minute, it's like, the minute is to like go like take care of my bills or something that like I haven't done because I'm doing like all this other stuff. So it's just a lot of stuff. And also like I thought I would be better about like going places and going and seeing like other people. And I always bring my knitting whenever I go to any kind of social event, because usually I don't want to socialize, and I will, just be behind my knitting, and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's Tina. She's just over there. She's really nice, but she usually doesn't, come out of the knitting bag. But like even going to like those kind of things, it was just like weird. It felt so weird, like being at any kind of social gathering or anything. So. Not with you guys. I don't know why. I don't know why the podcast doesn't put me off at all, but it really doesn't. I feel like maybe it's just so comfortable to be at the podcast. And
The lack of expectation to perform.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because this is our knit night. Yeah. We're just going to hang out.
Right. And there's no burden of expectation to be a certain way or act a certain way.
Nope. So that's
Makes a difference.
That's why it's easy to chat on here. Release my skeletons.
Jesus.
That's how they come out.
Like lasers.
But yeah, I'm fine. Like, I don't want everyone going, like, please don't, like, bombard me with, like, oh my God, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I get it. I'm good. It is a lot. And knitting is not. The chickens will have to wait.
They'll be there when you're ready.
Love that. Chickens will have to wait.
They're just going to have to sit on the shelf and wait for me to figure my life out. One day.
I had a really good year in 2023. I felt really good about the way things had worked out. Just realizing that I loved to hike and climbing Lafayette, and kind of that culminated the end of like 3 years or 3.5 years of trying to kind of deal with my dad's passing. This past year has been a lot of, okay, now what? And balancing a lot of work obligations with family obligations. I'm in my 5th year of teaching, which, fingers crossed, means I'm tenured in the fall.
Woo-woo.
Which is really exciting. I haven't gotten a confirmation for that.
Well,
Yeah,
still.
I know we can yank that back if I don't. They said there's no reason why I shouldn't, but you like to see those things, like have
like to see it in writing.
I want to see it in writing. But that's come on the wave of going back to school, and I feel like I missed a lot of things in the 4 years, that I was kind of trying to figure myself out. And I really felt like the first, like from 2019 to 2023, I was kind of just floating and just kind of existing. 2023, I started to kind of come out of my shell again and find things that I liked to do. And start to actually take care of myself as a person, realizing that I had let so much of myself go. I was completely sedentary. I had really not thought about anything that I really, aside from knitting, that I really liked to do. And I spent a lot of time focusing on my kid, because
That's what you do.
it is what you do, but it was also like, not to bring up a really painful topic, but like the realization after my dad passed of like, I cannot stop. I had a 10-week-old child. Like I have got to keep moving. I cannot stop. My world will not stop. And I really think that I kind of like zeroed in on her, and I made her like my whole everything. And it was like all of a sudden in the last few months, it was like I opened my eyes and I'm like, this is a child. She is not a baby. She is not helpless. Like, I'm watching this kid problem solve and figure things out. Sent her to camp this week, and I was so anxious dropping her off. I'm like, oh my God, is she going to cry? I had to practically pry her out of the seat to come home every day. She had a blast. Like, she is so independent. And then realizing like, okay, she is fine. I need to figure out now, like, personally and academically and career-wise, I need to figure out what I'm doing with my life, independently of, not to say completely independently of my child, because she is 5. She's not a teenager, but she doesn't need the hovering anymore, and honestly worrying more that I'm doing her a detriment by hovering. Because for so long it was like, well, I can't do this. I can't think this. I have got to, this is my whole little world. And that's also not the kind of, I did not want her to grow up thinking like, you are the only thing in my life. Like, you are, I am a person independent of you. I have interests. I have friends. I have hobbies. So
I totally relate.
yeah, this summer has been a lot. And unfortunately then, this summer was kind of crazy because I got COVID. And then when I started hiking again, I'm pretty sure I have plantar fasciitis in my foot. So that's been fun. So I haven't been able to like hike as much as I wanted to and do as much as I wanted to. So then kind of like that almost felt almost a little bit like some pressure off of, I spent a lot of my time like moving my focus from my child to hiking. And now it's like I'm being forced to be like, okay, who actually am I when I am not throwing myself completely into one thing or another, and trying to find a more healthy work-life balance, independent of all of those things that I was kind of like fixating on, to try to not look at where I was going. Like, I felt like I woke up last September and I'm like, okay, I'm 40. Like, this is a whole new decade of my life, and where am I going? And I still don't quite know where I'm going, but I feel like I'm getting a better grasp on where I want to go if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it
That's a whole lot
definitely
of word
does.
salad.
No, it does. Like, I can totally relate to that feeling because I felt even prior to my father passing, like this feeling of like, okay, who am I? Because the difference being that my kids are older than yours, and they were 9 going on 14, very independent, which I was so happy that they like felt confident to like be themselves. They knew how to take care of themselves to a degree. Like they were very confident in the person that they were, and they really didn't need me on them all the time. So then like, okay, so now what do I do? Kind of like I switched to like this part-time working, and it's like, I don't know if that's like what I want to do forever. And then like, yeah, having this like thought of like, what is Tina? And then like with my dad passing, and what I would consider like a big piece of Tina, like, okay, so now that's gone. So like, what is the rest of it? Like, you know,
Who are we into? And I think that's a problem with, and I don't know. I cannot speak for the men folk among us. I don't know what it's like to be a guy and have male pressure. As a female, speaking from female experience, like the idea that the expectation of, you know, being a wife, being a mom, being like all of those roles, and kind of the expectation of like doing it all, but doing it seamlessly. And don't complain, and don't make it look hard.
Because of course we'll just knit while the roast is in the oven
And have the perfect hair and the perfect makeup
And wear
and
the
the perfect
pearls.
outfits.
Yeah,
and-
but I mean, like, but then there is like a whole lot of like, when you strip away those layers, who is that person underneath? And I don't even think that needs to be a married thing or a but there is so much expectation, I think, to whether you are married or not, a mother or not, to do it and make it look easy. Don't complain. And don't think about what you want beyond that. I guess it's kind of unsurprising. I'm trying to figure out, as things change, where am I going and what am I doing?
If anything, it sounds like for everybody, it's been like such an unsure year. Like just kind of not really knowing what to feel or what to do, or like switching from thing to thing, or like, you know, in Jess's case, like this thing, that thing, that thing. In Drea's case, you know, I can't physically do this, and I don't like have the mojo to do this, and like, so what else do I do? And you know how you're speaking on that, like I feel like it's just, maybe that's why we're sitting here and taking 45 minutes to come up with a topic, because we are literally unsure about everything else. How the heck are we going to be sure about a topic? You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
there's a lot going on.
yeah.
And I mean, I will, like we were saying beforehand, like all of us have still crafted in different spheres. Like I didn't finish anything until June. Nothing.
Listen.
I finished nothing until June.
Ma'am.
And it took me that long to get into the swing of knitting. And I feel better now. Like I want to do it. But for the first like 5 months of the year, I think I cast 5 projects on. It just wasn't happening. And I think, you know, we talked earlier when Drea was talking about how like the worst thing you can do is be like, I'm doing this. This is fun. We're having fun. I'm going to do this and I'm going to have fun. And you're not going to have fun.
No.
And that's kind of how we got to that point in this episode of like, we love to do this podcast. We enjoy talking together. We love to knit. Sometimes it's just not all coming together. It's just not coming together. And we won't be here forever. And we've done this long enough. We know we won't be in this place forever. No.
However, I do think that I just walked into putting my project down for well, because I have extra stitches. And
Oh no.
I hate that for you.
It's time to knit a hat or socks. That's what it's time for.
I need some more
A quick
wherewithal.
win.
I need some wherewithal to figure out like
Knit a preemie hat.
what
They go
did I
real
do?
fast.
Yeah.
Or go find like that yarn you've been dying to knit socks with and go throw a Sunday swing pair on those needles and just do it.
I do severely miss the Sunday.
Just do it. It'll make you feel good. I know this is a deviation, and I know this is going to be really hard for you to cast on a second project
While I have one
while
on the
you
needles
have one
already,
on the
I
needles.
know.
But I really think
Don't have palpitations. You'll
I
be
really
fine.
think this will be good for you.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good
it'll
for
be
you.
fine if I just like stick it in a bag somewhere and don't look at it.
And you can pretend that you don't have
Put it in the
I
back
have-
corner.
I do have problems with object permanence.
There you go.
Where
So-
if I
See?
don't see it, it doesn't
Exactly.
You
exist.
put it in the bag and cast on some Sunday swing, and you can just say, no, this is my only project. And you know what? We'll even go along with it for you. We'll do that for you.
We'll
do that for
never,
me?
ever
we will
mention
never, we
this
will not
shawl.
bring up until you cast off the socks, and then we'll be like, how's the shawl?
No pressure. Dash my spirits immediately. At least give me a week.
We'll
of
wait
pain.
until you post.
No, I was gonna say we'll give some time because we don't want a Velvet Nightmare moment.
Oh no, we're not talking about that.
No.
So there needs to be time between the win and the reminder.
Yes.
Okay. That's all. That's
Yes.
all that needs. It's
We'll
just
give
the
you
time.
lots of
You need a
applause,
win
sound
time.
effects.
You need time to
you know
appreciate.
what? If you like start
your win.
now, you could have a sweet pair of Rhinebeck socks.
That's
It's true, I
true.
could.
A sweet pair.
Oh, Rhinebeck. Why did you say that? I am so not prepared at all for that.
You know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
It's not necessary. And I am not making a sweater. I'm knitting the sweater I finished a year and a half ago that I didn't block until like 5 months ago.
That's gonna look really
be my
pretty,
Rhinebeck
though.
sweater. I'm not knitting one for this year because it's just not
Look
happening.
at man, this may or may not be done right now.
No, it's not
The
because
Dark
Rhinebeck
Alchemy,
is not in
right?
12,000 years. Dark Academia.
Dark
Yeah.
Academia.
Yeah, I know, but I'm also a time traveler sometimes. don't
I
know
will
if you knew that.
consider blocking the Celtic myth shawl.
Oh my God. Don't get crazy now.
I know.
Don't
I know.
get crazy now.
I wish I had a sound effect that was like, wow.
we need one of those like from the like 1980 sitcoms where it's like, ooh.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's the one we need.
Or we could just have you do it because that was pretty good.
Oh God. It's all gonna be okay.
Yep.
Wherever y'all are at this year, I think we can all collectively say July has been a roller coaster in so many ways.
Yeah.
And we got 5 months left. We got 5 months left in 2024. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. However it turns out.
We're going to focus on the positive
gonna be
things,
good.
no matter how small they are.
Yep. And it doesn't have to be a screaming win, you know?
No.
It can just be what it is. And we're all gonna be good.
It could be, I touched my yarn today. Good job.
A
Good
plus.
job, Drea. Good job. Congratulations.
Oh God. That's about all the time we have for this week. For additional content and opportunities to connect with the cast, be sure to check out our website at pardonmystash.com. And be sure to tune in next time for more fun, friends, and fiber at Pardon My Stash.